So, you want to know, was Blue Ridge Rock Festival really a shit show?
Oh, yes, it fucking was.
So, I thought a lot about how I wanted to shoot this, and if I was going to talk about it piece by piece, or do it chronologically.
I'm gonna start with the weather.
Damn it, Jackie, I can't control the weather! Ah, yes, the weather scarecrow argument that a lot of people are throwing you online. Yes, there was a storm. On Thursday night, we got hit by 60-mile-per-hour winds and hail. This is my tent. Look at it. Look at it. Snapped into fucking pieces, man. It was folded in on itself when I got back, and all my shit was wet. It was terrible, and that was the experience for a lot of people. Here are all the porta-johns, which also got fucked up. Everything got fucked up. And yes, that is a part of the festival, and if you're a person who's been going to festivals for a long time, you know that that's just a part of the territory, right? But wait, there's more. The problem people are having with the weather is not that the weather happened, it's that there was no preparations with, like, a way to get any kind of meaningful shelter in that storm. We were all hiding under merch tents, which they were telling us to leave to go to the shuttle bus, which never arrived. I was a camper, so I just got my fucking tent curb stomped by nature, but a lot of my friends were in this line here, and they were in that line for 6 hours. 6 hours, soaking wet, none of their shit with them because you weren't allowed to bring water and stuff into the... And yeah, even if you were in the venue, they started talking about how they had 12 water stations this year. It was 12 faucets attached to 2 watering stations, half of which were all relegated to VIP. That's fucked up. And yeah, so I guess accidentally I did kind of do this in chronological order, because that's night one, and that's how night one went. Many people were devastated. Like, I showed you guys my tent. Here's what she used to look like, man. But in all seriousness, the amazing thing about this festival was the people. These 2 campsites that you see next to me, when our tent got crushed, me and my wife were going to leave. It was our first festival experience and stuff. We were going to cut loose and run home. These guys convinced us to use a tent which had blown into our campsite and was abandoned by someone else, and we held up in that ramshackle son of a bitch while these people fed us because all of our food got wet. People were so supportive and so awesome. But yeah, that's it for this video because I don't want it to go too long. There's a lot to unpack here. So please watch my next video. But so much love to the campers that supported me and my wife in the time that fucking sucked, dude. It fucking sucked. Tune into part 2. Welcome back to part 2 of Was Blue Ridge Rock Festival a Shit Show? As I may have spoiled in part 1. Yes, it fucking was. So on to Friday, a day that genuinely was the best day if you weren't on the fucking shuttle hell. Because as campers, we all got to see a lot of bands that day, and we actually got to see the headliners play. And for the most part, it just seemed like the bad weather was a fluke, and while it should have been more safety measures in place, and the shuttle bus situation was a nightmare, as far as the campgrounds go, we were having a great time. But there were warning signs. One of the biggest warning signs being that pretty much every trash can you saw looked like this, or like that, or even this, or like this. Oh, that's just my tent from the day before. But hey, you know, you see that sometimes at festivals, and we were cutting them slack because we felt like they were just trying to keep up after the storm. Bigger part of that being, we came to see the fucking shows, man, and the day before we only got to see like CKY and Edema, stuff like that. But the headliners got cut. We didn't get to see Coheed. The storm pretty much came down when Coheed came down. And this is my wife's first festival. That's my wife. Isn't she pretty? I know, she's pretty. At this point, I had friends messaging me telling me there was another storm coming, more 60-mile-per-hour winds. But at this point, I said, not my tent, not my fucking problem, right? I'm gonna see some fucking band. And I still stand by that decision. Electric Callboy fucking slapped. It was one of the best acts I've seen in a long time. They killed it. I'll play some of their footage above me so you guys can check that out. But it was very odd that Electric Callboy was probably about 15 or 20 minutes late coming out for their set. And here's where the tea comes in. So I started doing some digging when I got home, going into different Discord groups, Facebook message groups, all this different stuff, wanting to see what other fans like you and I had experienced. But also, I really wanted to hear what bands had said, who had been strangely silent through all this, even though we had heard a couple things, like Evanescence. No one really knew why. They just knew that Amy Lee was seen leaving the venue in tears. So here in this Discord, we actually have Tank the Tech, who is Electric Callboy's stage manager. Feel free to pause this video to read other distressful stories from people that are in this chat, but I'm just going to read what Tank said here because I think that that's a pretty good source. No stagehands, no water, barely any food. AC didn't work in dressing rooms, production crew had no idea what was going on. There was one forklift and one flatbed for every band and one stage for loading. Trust me, backstage wasn't any better than the crowd. Our load-in was 6 hours, load-out was 5. Now, if you've never been a stagehand or in a band, that's fucking ridiculous. So just the same way that you were waiting for lines and shuttles for 5 to 6 hours, so were the bands. Getting in and out and getting their equipment in and out and onto the stage was not happening in a timely manner by anybody's standards who's ever been involved with. Tank the Tech, fuck. Goes on to say, Blue Ridge was an absolute shitfest even on our end. No joke. Worst show we've been a part of in almost 20 years of touring. I told the promoter straight to his face that it was the most unprofessional, unorganized, and unsafe pile of shit festival I've ever seen in my life. If you aren't familiar with Electric Callboy, they're a German band. They won the Eurovision Award, I think in 2021 or something like that. They've been touring a lot. And in Europe, they are way ahead of the game when it comes to festivals and EDM stuff like that. So if this is how they feel about it, it's incredibly valid. And once again, I think I've probably gone on a little bit too long, so we'll save everything else for part 3. So yeah, this is just a little bit of the first kind of peaks that we saw, the cracks we started to see from bands and starting to see the trash pile up. Next time, the workers' strike, which we think is the real reason that the festival ended. And just generally what those last 2 days were like for me and my fellow campers and shuttle people and all of us that got fucked by Blue Ridge Rock Festival. Tune in next time, and remember, inspiration is free. And if you watched this long, please give me a follow. It means the world. Thank you so much. Bye. Here we are for part 3 of Was Blue Ridge Rock Festival a shit show? I'm guessing you already know the answer. But today, we're going to talk about why we think it was really canceled. So let's just jump right into this. I do want to preface this by saying, going into this festival, I was like so stoked on the idea of possibly working the next one. As you'll probably guess by the end of this one, I changed my fucking mind. So it's now starting to surface, as you can see above me, uncontrolled trash and lack of showers for stage crew on display as reported by staff who have packed up and left to poor labor and living condition. So as I understand it, if you go to work or volunteer for the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, you can essentially pay off your ticket, and then from what I understand, you got a little bit of pay on the side of that, and they were going to offer you room and board, essentially. So that comes with showers and food. But as you can see above me, they didn't receive those. And just as much as our tents and shit blew away, so did the workers, but they still had to work all fucking night, whereas I got to take some empty fucking tent and put my shit in. Here's another post. The true reason the show was canceled isn't the weather. The pit crew for the stages left. They are protesting for not being fed or bathed, so they left for the day. And I don't blame them for working a week and not getting a food or shower and expected to keep pushing. Here's another post I'm going to read. I cut her, name out of it because, that's her business. We only got one successful day of show, LOL. And now about 15 of us are heading in to break down all production on both main stages by ourselves. This is what happens when the stagehands, aka the backbone of all music festivals, shows, concerts, corporate gigs, etc., are treated like the lowest of the totem when they are one of the most necessary components of a success. And I agree with her. All you techs out there that this stagehands like you don't need them, this could be you, loading out your own crap in the mud and rain with just you and your techs. We are stagehands first, never forget that. We need them and need to treat them better. To my stagehand friends who are y'all did it, and I'm so proud of you. I hope this helps, y'all. I hope this helps them understand how big of a piece of the puzzle you all play. I hate the conditions y'all were living in. Hope y'all get home safe. P.S. F you for leaving me. Going till morale is gone is the motto for us today. And a final piece of evidence here. I'll never complain about other gigs again. So this is Festival on Twitter. We're about to go into this in a second, but essentially if you're going to any official Blue Ridge Rock Festival pages, your comments are getting deleted if you're saying negative shit. They are trying to cover this up as much as possible. Following message, it says, just wanted to shed some light on how the workers are getting fed at Blue Ridge Rock Festival. And yeah, that looks like a few little pieces of chicken with way too much pepper on them and just a slice of cheese. Which is it's unacceptable. And yeah, anybody that was there will tell you we believe that. When they canceled the show on Saturday, it was a very small rainstorm. It was over by 2 p.m., which was when we told we would get updated. And by 2 p.m., they had canceled the rest of the show. The whole ride home, me and my wife looked at clear skies and being like, why the fuck could we not see Black Label Society? Why could we not see the youth? Was it really because the bands weren't safe? Was it really? Or was it that your entire workforce evacuated and you knew if you were to continue, you would have even more safety and problem protocols because you didn't have half of the workforce that you needed? Slop. Here's the infamous Instagram post that all of us that were there that day remember seeing. I'm not going to read this whole thing. You can pause it and read it for yourself. I just want to notate the most important part to me, which is where it says partial and full refunds will be issued to compensate for today's lost programming. Yeah, they deleted this post and they put it back up. What do you think they deleted from the post? Probably the evidence. Also, as my wife said, calling into question this whole like little fucking act they put up here about like how everybody's equipment was so damaged that they could not play whatsoever, and you know they were so depressed about this. I don't think that's fucking true. I think you pissed off all your bands. I think you pissed off all your workforce, and I think they all vacated. And then on to the next part. Who was left? The campers and the bands who loved them. So the band I was most excited to, not most excited like overall to see, but the one I was waking up is the only band I woke up like at the crack of dawn to make sure I was right there at that show was I Set My Friends on Fire. I saw them back at Warped Tour in 2015 when I was 15, and they played to such a small crowd they didn't give a shit. They rocked so hard. So it warmed my heart immensely that these motherfuckers first of all made a Twitter post that said if we don't play, nobody plays, which was just funny. But they hosted a show at Camp Show Me Your Butthole because campers are still there. I'm going to be playing a couple videos below me of all the shenanigans and shit that they were getting into. But yeah, they canceled the festival on us, but we didn't really let the festival get canceled. Everybody hung around and partied for hours. There were slip and slides. Some bands came out. I believe it was Shinedown, Oliver Anthony, and then somebody else I'm forgetting right now came out and played an acoustic set. I think that one, you know, they had security and everything involved for that one. But yeah, I Set My Friends on Fire just showed up at a fucking pop-up. You know, I don't even think it was sanctioned at all, which is just so fucking metal. But yeah, I just want to close things out by saying this. Me riffing on Blue Ridge Rock Festival, and so many of us who are sharing our stories, we had a great time despite all that. Like, a lot of us did, because I'm from Virginia, right? The Appalachians are my fucking home. This is so awesome to get to see the energy of my people and also seeing people from all over get to come into our backyard and party with us, and fucking Electric Callboy from Germany. We want this. It's evident that we crave something like this, and we are willing to pay excess amounts of money to go do it, but we deserve to be treated well. Me and my wife probably will not be going to Blue Ridge Rock Festival again until somebody else is in management. Fuck you, Sly. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck. You just look shitty, man. I mean, if you turn this whole thing around, I'll fucking, you know, we'll talk about it. But until then, I don't know about you. To the bands that got to play, to the bands that didn't, we fucking love you, man. I love everybody that was there and that I got to have that time with. And even though it was like a day and a half, my wife still regards that as a great time. And we will be going to another festival. It's just not going to be Blue Ridge Rock Fest until motherfuckers are either held accountable, there's new management involved, you know. But anyway, you guys hit me up in the comments. Let me know of like the best festivals you go to, because I really want to take my wife to one that doesn't suck that bad. Anyhow. Thank you guys so much. Remember, inspiration is free. And again, if you watched this, please leave me a follow and whatever the hell else. It helps a lot, man. Bye.